All right, we are live. Good evening, everybody. It's great to see y'all. I see we live on Instagram. I see we live on Facebook, and we are live on YouTube. It's great to see you guys. I'm Minister Marcus. Welcome to the Maximize Your Life Bible Study. Every Wednesday night, I come on and I try to give you guys some encouragement as you try to walk with God or live as right as you can in this crazy world. I want to acknowledge the new president today. I don't really talk about politics. um, I don't, really don't feel like that the scriptures or the Bible is or the platform is a place for, talks of politics. But, congratulations to Joe Biden. Thank God that we made it through the last 4 years. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But it's great to see you guys on another Wednesday night. It's 8:30 and I'm going to get right into it. We have been in the book of Joshua. Next week, I think it's the last week that we will be in Joshua. So hope to look forward to seeing you guys next week as well. But tonight we are going to Joshua chapter 5. I think last week we was in chapter 3. Go check that lesson out. It's great. I put a little snippet up for you guys on YouTube. Joshua chapter 5. I'm going to begin in verse number 2, and we are going to read to verse number 9, and then that's going to be it tonight. All right. So Joshua chapter 5, verse 2 through 9, and it reads, At that time the Lord told Joshua, use knives of flint to make the Israelites a circumcised people again. So Joshua made sharp knives and circumcised the entire male population of Israel at Gibeath Haraloth. Joshua had to circumcise them because all the men who were old enough to bear arms when they left Egypt had died in the wilderness. So those who left Egypt had all been circumcised, but none of those born after the Exodus during the years in the wilderness had been circumcised. The Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years until all the men who were old enough to bear arms when they left Egypt had died, for they had disobeyed the Lord. And the Lord vowed he would not let them enter the land he had sworn to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. So Joshua circumcised their sons who had not been circumcised on the way to the promised land, those who had grown up to take their father's places. After all the males had been circumcised, they rested in the camp until they were healed. Then the Lord said to Joshua, Today I have rolled away the shame of your slavery in Egypt. So that place has been called Gilgal to this day. All right. And so tonight I got three things for you. Three quick things, real quick, and then I'm going offline. As you know, I try not to stay on long on Wednesday nights. So give me your ears for about 15 to 20 minutes, and we'll be offline. I just want to give you three quick things tonight. For those of you that know, we have been in Joshua. This is the second lesson in Joshua, and we are talking about, we are following the children of Israel as they left Egypt, and they are now next to the promised land. They have come into the promised land, and they are about to start their conquest of the land called Canaan. And this is the land of promise that God has promised them since they came out of Egypt. This is the land that they've been journeying to, the land that they've been going through the wilderness to get to. They are finally here, and they're about to start their conquest of the land called Canaan. All right. And so last week we talked about crossing over the Jordan, and they crossed the Jordan, and so now here they are. And so before they go into battle, before they go into their first battle, God tells Joshua to circumcise all the men of the nation. And so I'm sure many of you, everybody should know what it means to be circumcised as a man. It is the cutting away of the foreskin of all the males of the nation, right? And I want to use this as a platform because what is physical for them can be figurative for us in the way that God deals with us. And what I mean is that there is always going to come a time in your life that God will show you that it's time to cut something off or out of your life, right? And so we can go relationships, right? We can go relationships, but I don't want to go relationships. Let's go deeper looking inside of us. And so number one is be ready and willing to cut it off. What is the it? And I'm not talking about relationships. Let's go beyond relationships, right? I'm talking about the things that are in us. And so I'm going to start with a question. What is that thing that God has showed you to cut off that you are still carrying? And so that's number one. Be willing to cut it off. What is that thing that God has showed you to cut off that you are still carrying? And I'm going beyond relationships to the things in us. What if it's procrastination that you're holding on to? What if it's laziness that you're holding on to? What if it's responding in your emotions, right? What if it's holding on to the pains of your past? What if it's anger from your past, bitterness, resentment, seeking revenge? Look, here's my question. What is it that God has showed you to cut off that you are still carrying? And this is my number one. Be willing to cut off anything that's not productive. And like I said, I'm not talking about relationships right now. I'm talking about the things that are in us, that laziness, that attitude, the way you respond to people, the way you talk to people, your mouth. What is something that you are still carrying that God has told you to cut off? And I want you to understand that God will not move it for you. And look, I try to tell people this all the time. We think that God is supposed to do everything for us, but in reality, God can only show you what it is, but it becomes your responsibility to fix it. And I want us to understand this, that you are the only one that he says to Joshua, circumcise yourselves. You are the only one that can fix the issue. God can show it to you, but only you can fix it. And I talk to more and more people, especially now in the 2021s, right? 2020 coming into 2021, of people who are waiting for God to do something that He has given you the power to do. There are things about you that God can only show you it's time to cut off, or it's time to stop doing, or it's time to bring to a halt. But how many of you are actually willing to cut it off? And that's a good question. I think that's a real good question. If you was to actually do some soul searching, how many of you are still carrying things that God has already shown you it's time to cut off? And so I want you to ask yourself this question. You can write it down if you have a paper. What habits are hindering your relationship with God? Look, what habits are hindering your life's progress? Look, this is what I had to learn. I had to learn this, that everything that I had asked God to do, right, it all turned back on Marcus Stewart. It all turned back on me. He said, Marcus, look, in order for you to get what it is that you want from me, you're going to have to start waking up a little bit earlier, right? I was used to sleeping at 10, 12, 2 o'clock in the middle of the day. And God just had to tell me, Marcus, this is something that you are going to have to change. I had a bad temper. I had a bad mouth. I want you to hear me when I say this, right? He said, Marcus, the stuff that you want, like, I know you want to do better in business, and I know you want to get you a better job, and I know you want to uplift your life, but there are some things that you're going to have to cut off. And I had to realize it, right? Because sometimes we look to blame any and everybody else, but in reality, you are hindering your own forward progress. And so I'm going to ask you this question. What habits are hindering not just your relationship with God, but the progress, the overall progress of your life? And I love how so many times we blame God for things that we are in control of. And this is what he says to Joshua. He says, Joshua, circumcise the people. There are some things, right, that you need to be ready and willing to cut off. And I want you to understand that there is a danger in carrying what God has shown you it's time to cut. There is a danger in carrying what God has shown you it's time to cut. And I want you to get this, that the blessing may still come, right? But that thing that you're holding on to is going to destroy. The opportunity will still present itself, but whatever thing that is that you're holding on to, right, is going to destroy it. And I say this all the time, that sometimes we pray for things that God does give us, but then guess what? The things that we don't want to let go of destroy it. And I say it like this, that the past, the things that we hold on to, those bad habits that we hold on to from our past are now hindering us in our future. And if you are not willing to cut it off, I'm sorry to tell you, but your 21 is going to look just like your 2020. Your 2021 is going to look just like your 2019. If you are not willing to cut off what's hindering, I want you to hear me tonight. Say, come on, say, I got to cut it off. I got to cut it off. Ultimately, it is your responsibility to cut it off. And I want you to hear me when I say this before we go to number two. Ultimately, it is your actions or inability to act that hinders your forward progress. And I don't want you to look nowhere else but look in here. I'm not talking about your relationships. I'm not talking about nobody else on the outside of you. What is hindering your forward progress? Better yet, what is hindering your better relationship with God? Maybe there is something that you are holding on to. And so I got to the point where I had to stop being my own hindrance. I had to stop. Yep, I had to stop being my own hindrance. I had to start breaking some of those habits that were hindering my life from moving forward. And so I hope that's a word for you. Stop hindering your own process. Be willing to cut it off. All right. And so that's number one. And so here we go, moving this, and he uses circumcision. And I think that circumcision is so befitting because it is a painful process. Look, before we go any further, we rolling into number two. But circumcision is a painful process, but it was necessary for their forward progression. Hear me. Circumcision is a painful process, but it was necessary for their forward progression. And here's my number two. Progress is painful. Yep, say it. I want you to say it. I want you to say it. I want you to say it. Progress is painful. Listen, if they would have told me that I would to send my body through all of these different changes just to put a couple of muscles on it, I probably would have rethought it. And I ain't lying. I ain't gonna even lie like that. I would have went through it. But I want you to understand, right, that in order for growth to happen, right, it may take a little bit of pain. In order for you to progress from one stage of your life to the next, it may take a little bit of pain. And I want you to hear me that progress is painful. Circumcision is a very graphic picture, but I believe is very accurate and giving you the idea of how difficult it is to disconnect from things that you have become accustomed to. Look, I use this all the time because a few years ago, a long time ago actually, I quit smoking cigarettes, right? I quit smoking cigarettes, not because I didn't like what they made me feel like in the moment, but because I knew, right, that they couldn't go with me to the level that I was going. I was trying to do some different things. And I want you to get it, that first 2 weeks was the hardest 2 weeks. And I want you to hear me that circumcision is a very graphic picture, but it is very accurate, giving you the idea of how difficult making these disconnections can be. It can be difficult. Look, I don't care how saved you are. I don't care how anointed you are. I don't care if you can speak in tongues. I don't care if you beat the pastor to the church. It's difficult disconnecting yourself from habits and behaviors that you have become attached to over time. And I want you to hear me when I say that progress is painful. It's gonna hurt, right? It's gonna hurt, but get used to it because you're trying to grow. Many people are not able to fully step into their next level because they don't have the strength to make the necessary connections. And I want you to hear me. The pain of process is the reason why many people do not get to their place of blessing, do not get to their place of success. It is because they are unwilling to go through the pain of process. And I want you to hear me. I hope we get to number three, but listen, I want you to get this, that everybody shouts about the prize. Everybody shouts about the promise, but nobody talks about the pain of the process, the pain of the day to day. Look, the pain of the day to day, the pain of the process is why people don't lose weight. The pain of the process is why people don't save their money and get rich, build wealth, buying assets. The pain of the process. Everybody wants to take the easiest path with the least amount of pain. But the reality is, if you want to make progress, it may require some pain. If you want to see progress in your spiritual life, in your physical life, in your financial life, it may require some pain. And I had to adopt this: no pain, no gain. Come on, say that. No pain, no gain. Number two, progress is painful. And if you are unwilling to deal with the pain, you may never get to the promise. If you are unwilling to deal with the pain, you may never get to the prize. If you are unwilling to deal with the pain, you may never get to the promise. And I know people will tell you, the churches will tell you, all you got to do is drop off your tithes and your offering, and God will make a way for you. You can skip the process if you just tithe. The devil is a lie. I want you to understand something, that nothing can stop the pains of progress. If you're not willing to put in the work, don't expect the reward. And I want you to hear me when I say that tonight, because so many times we think all we got to do is show up to church, spin around 3 times and say Jesus, and the blessing is going to meet us at our house. But in reality, right, if you're not willing, and this is what he says, cut it off. The pains of progress. Everybody talks about the prize and we shout about it at church, but nobody talks about the process. And I want you to hear me. It's painful, right? It's painful. I started saying this. It's going to hurt, so I might as well do it anyway. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. It's going to hurt, but I got to go through this if I want to see that. I got to deal with this if I want to get to that. And I want you to hear me when I say this. Progress is painful. I don't know who told you that was going to be like a microwave, but if you want to grow in your life, if you want to get closer to God, it's going to take some sacrifice. Hear me when I say that. The pains of the process. All right, I don't want to take too long. I'm already at 15 minutes. All right, so in Genesis, that's number 2. The pains of progress. Progress comes through pain. All right. In Genesis, the circumcision was the sign between God and Abraham of the covenant that God had established with Abraham. And we are talking about circumcision. We are in Joshua chapter 5. All right. And so what God tells Joshua to do, in essence, God telling Israel here to circumcise themselves is God's way of reestablishing their covenant relationship with God. All right. And so that's biblical. But here's what I want us to look at, that their action of circumcising themselves showed God that they were serious about being connected to Him. Their action of circumcising themselves showed God that they were serious about being connected to Him. And here's my question to you tonight. If I was to put the question out there, who want to be connected to God? Who want to get closer to God for 2021? I'm sure it's going to be a whole lot of people saying that. But here's the reality is that the truth is seen in actions, right? The truth is seen in action. If I was to ask you, everybody who want to lose weight, I'm sure everybody say I want to lose weight. But I can tell whether you're serious or not, whether or not you change your, that's right, behavior. And so here's what I like about it, is that their action of circumcising themselves showed God that they were serious about being connected to Him. And here's the problem. Everybody says one thing, but then the truth shows, come on. And the problem is that many people say things that their actions don't prove. And here's my number 3 before I go out tonight. Here's my number 3. Don't say it, show it. Come on, I want to say that again. Don't say it, show it. And if you say it, show it. Come on, that's my number 3. Don't say it, show it. I get so tired of people. You know, my daughter, she Mari, she lovely, she's sweet, she know how to handle me. But at the same time, I had to get on the butt because she always apologized for things and go right back and do the same thing. And now I got to tighten you up. My response to her is, look, don't tell me you apologize. Change the behavior. And here's what, don't say it, show it. And I think that this is a word for everybody in 2021. Don't say you love somebody, show you love somebody. Don't say you want to get closer to God. Show you want to get closer to God. If God was to watch your actions, would your actions prove or disprove your words? Look, if God was watching, you know what? Let's not even go spiritual right quick. Let's just go real physical. If I was to watch what you said, would what you said match with what you did? And here's my issue. My issue is that we have a whole lot of people that know how to say it, but not enough people know how to show it. And I want you to get it that their reproach was rolled away after they circumcised themselves. And I want you to understand this, that sometimes God is waiting for you to get serious, not in your words, but in your actions. I want you to hear me when I say that I believe that sometimes God just sits back and waits for you to get serious in your actions, because we are so good at talking it. And so here's what, before I leave you tonight, don't say it, show it. Israel showed they were serious. And here's my question tonight. Are you serious about getting closer to God? Are you serious about making your life better? For somebody, are you serious about going back to school? Are you serious about improving your status? Are you serious about it? And the way I know you're serious about it is by the way you act. Don't say it, show it. And so that's a word for some father in here. Don't tell your daughter you love her, show it. For some husband, don't tell your wife you love her, show it. For some wife, don't tell your husband you love him, show it. Don't say it, show it. Don't say you a Christian, show it. And so tonight, I hope you got something. We had 19 minutes and I want to keep you all night. But this is the second lesson. Next week, I will be right back here at 8:30 on Wednesday nights. And for those of you who say it's too short, come on at 8:30 and you'll get more. But it was great to see you guys once again. Thank y'all for tuning in. Oh, listen, you can buy one of our TGM shirts. All of the information is right there on Facebook, or you can go to our website and you can order you one. This is a way that you can be a support to our outreach program. We created shirts so that we can sell them. They're only $13. For those of you who want to donate, go to our website. The list is there. You can donate. We give care packages to the homeless, and you can be a blessing that way. Or there are other things that you can do other ways. It's not just about money. If you can give items, we definitely would appreciate that. We give our care packages year round, and so it's coming up where we're going to do the big event. I will keep you guys posted, but go visit our website, www.thegodmovement.com. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. I come on every single Wednesday night at 8:30. For those of you who miss your Bible study, you can stay at home and get it, and you can watch me, or you can go to your Bible study and then watch me when you come home. I don't know, but it's great to see y'all once again, and thank y'all for tuning in. I'm going offline. Y'all have a good night, Instagram, and good night, Facebook, and good night, YouTube.